Dun, dun, dun. Whoa, dude. That thing is sick. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Check it out. It's the new DJI Flip. They are collapsible. See how you can fold it up there. This is the Fly More version. Comes with a controller, a bunch of batteries, and a case and other stuff. But we're gonna break into this. This is gonna be the first in our extensive series as I usually do. We're also gonna compare it with the new Neo, remember the X Hover, and then I also have the Mini 4 Pro over here. Also got some ND filters here. We're gonna try to put on the drone, really look in depth into it, go over some specs. Further in the series, we're gonna do a full-on flight test. We are going to do a range test and possibly some other stuff with it. Also guys, check this out. I have one more brand new Fly More combo. So this is the one here on the right I'm going to be opening and going over and reviewing. This is the one here on the left, still in its brand new box and plastics and everything, with another set of ND filters that I am going to be doing a drawing for, so you can win one of these. So one of you guys are gonna win one of these. If you do want your chance to win one, make sure you go down in the description down below, expand the description, and you will see the link how to enter for this drawing. Always exciting to have one to give to you guys, so go ahead and check that out. Anyway, let's get started with the Flip. Okay guys, so there's the Flip there. Here's the ND 16, 64, and 256 filters specifically built for this thing. I'm just gonna open this really quick. This is an interesting drone because it kind of falls between the Mini 4 Pro and the Neo. I just wanna bust into this first. Gonna save the best for a little bit later. Just a second. Pretty cool looking. You can see, let me tilt them down like this. You can see how they kind of protrude up there. Kind of lens protection. I guess that's for crashing, or that's the way they clip on. We'll find out in just a second. So anyway, those are the 3 ND filters. This does not come with the Fly More combo, so these are gonna be a separate purchase. Anyway, we need to get into this thing. I did show the other side there. That's how it looks folded up on the box. Pretty interesting. Permanent propeller guards and ducts. So I'm just going to take off this plastic really quick and go over the features before we open the box up. Some of the main features of this drone are under 249 grams. Remember, it is a full coverage propeller guard that's permanent. It has the AI subject tracking and stuff that DJI drones normally have. DJI is kind of categorizing this as a vlogging camera. It's got a 1 1/3 inch CMOS sensor. It does 4K 60 frames per second. Something that the Neo was lacking. Remember, the Neo could only do 30 frames in 4K, and the camera was actually lacking a little. And this is really interesting, guys. They're claiming this thing to have a 31-minute max flight time. Now that is pretty much over just about twice as much, or even over what this little Neo could do. This thing sounded like a high-pitched loud mosquito with the Neo on the left here. I'm really interested to see. It looks like this has bigger propellers, maybe softer propellers, maybe some better technology to make it quieter, because that was one of the main reasons this got a little irritating, especially for a vlogging camera. Enough talking about it. Let's open this thing up. I love how these Fly More combos always have great cases. This looks like a very similar case to like the Mini 4 Pro. I actually have a Mini 4 Pro case right here. So this is a little bit shorter and wider on the Flip case. So kind of like something you might get with the Avata 2 or something. You see how that case is? I know the Avata 2 case is a little larger, but kind of the same form factor as the Avata 2, just a little bit more shrunk down. As usual, a nice quality case. So we're having like that faux leather feel here. We have the waterproof zippers here, water resistant at least. And of course we have our straps. So no pockets anywhere on the outside. Not even a pocket on the back or the front. So I kind of would have liked to see some kind of pocket just to shove something in if you needed to, but we're not getting any of that. I really miss those mesh pockets that were on the sides, just in case you had a few cables, this thing was full, or you didn't want to open it up, you could just shove a little charging cable or something in there, maybe a memory card case. But yeah, all you have is this handle back here and then the shoulder strap. But it is nice and small. Let's open this thing up and see what we get. So my first time opening this thing, guys, with you, so I'm getting the same reaction you are if you've never seen this before. We have a top pocket with our instruction manual and stuff, quick start guide there. Propellers, wow, interesting. Man, these are smaller than I thought. So there's an A and a B per this link package. Yeah, those propellers are way smaller than I thought. I hope this thing isn't as noisy as the Neo. Just like other Flymore combos, we're basically getting 3 extra A propellers and 3 extra B propellers. We're gonna see if there's any installed on this. Pull this side thing out here. Wow, brand new design, guys. Remember, this is all new stuff except for that RC2 controller that I showed you that picture on the box. We're gonna open that in just a second. But look at this thing. Very interesting. A whole new design, multi-charger and battery design. I got 2 batteries already existing on the multi-charger. Let's see how these things clip in. Interesting. Wow. That could be a problem. There's a little port here to accept this little ridge on the battery. You wanna make sure that's in, then you push the top in and click it, because you can actually clip it in without this ridge on there. So I don't know if that was something unexpected they didn't think about, but definitely need to ridge it first right in here, lock it in, and then push it there. We have a little flip labeling there on each battery. If you notice, this is like whiter. This is like a very light gray compared to the Mini 4 Pro. Look at that. So a very light gray, even lighter than the Neo here. We have 4 battery multi-charge slots. I like that. They're just kind of back to back. We have no lights yet because these usually have to be charged first. USB-C port there. And that's really it. So I'm thinking that this will probably do consolidation charging. Like if you're out in the field and you have 2 partially charged batteries, you can consolidate to 1, because that's what all their new multi-chargers have. Let's look at the battery real quick just to see how large these things are. Man, the writing is getting so small. Unbelievable. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this, but I will explain it to you. 3110 mAh, 7.16 volts. Let's finish up seeing what's in here. Really nothing else except a screwdriver and a USB-C to C cable. All right, we're going to pull out the RC2 controller. So if you haven't seen this controller, this is how it is. You got your camera, your record button, your 2 kind of rollers up top, your antennas that you can pull out. You've got your joysticks that sit right in here on the back. While we're in the back, you just basically have cooling ports, C1 and C2 trigger buttons. Let's just put these sticks on real quick. Battery power and your signal, and then you have your cinematic, normal, and sport modes there. Your pause and your return to home, and then your power button and your joysticks. And that's your screen. USB-C for charging and file transfer, and there is a memory card slot there for micro SD cards. A couple of attachment ports there. And that's it for the RC2 controller. Not gonna really go too much into that because we wanna finally look at the drone. And only thing left is the drone. Wow, whoa, this thing is radical looking. So let's take it out of this little baggie. Dun, dun, dun. Whoa, dude. That thing is sick. Will you look at that? Wow. So here it is, guys. My first time seeing this, and it's just kind of shocking to see these big, gigantic, I mean, not gigantic, but these big propeller car ducts on this thing. No wonder it can fly for so long. Look how big these things are. And they're using like carbon fiber or graphite protectors here. You see that in there? This is really interesting. I am super anxious to see how this thing sounds. I'm just trying to grip the propellers. And these are not flexing propellers on the screw axis. These are rigid propellers that aren't gonna flex around. Mini 4 Pro had these propellers like that. This one is just all fixed in. Really interesting looking design here. Pretty amazing how light this thing is, and there is a battery already on it. So we're getting 3 batteries with the Flymore combos, and you can buy an extra one if you did want to fill this charger up. Charge to activate battery before using, just like other DJI products. And there we go. So batteries just clicking in. Remember, not sliding. Now we're just putting it in here and then clicking down. A memory card slot, something the Neo was lacking, remember? A micro SD card slot. This one has a micro SD card slot, USB-C here, and then we have our power button there. At first I thought that was the power button on this side. Like the Neo, it's going to have a non-control activation mode where you can just put it up there without a controller. Anyway, that's how it looks on the outside. We have some great venting there on the back. And here's a closer look at the ducts. It's just like 3 screws in the center holding the motor on. Looks like from the top, and then 1 on the bottom. Each propeller has its own single linkage right there with a screw that goes right in. Little feet on the front that keep the camera off the ground. And the back, look at this. It's just sitting right on the table, the back of the duct. So they're trying to make it as light as possible. Let's get in here and take off this camera guard. So there's kind of like a little bit of a ridge, grippy area here. And it looks like we just push this in and we're gonna pull. Ugh, I don't wanna damage this camera. Pull that out. Whoa. Now this thing has a front LiDAR type of sensor. They're calling it something else, but it's very similar to LiDAR for obstacle detection on the front. And check this thing out. I haven't seen this before. This is an extra little rubber guard for that camera. And I'll tell you what, guys, this looks just like the Mini 4 Pro camera. 3-axis gimbal. What's interesting to me is there's no writing on the camera. The Mini 4 Pro had this interesting upside down 3-axis gimbal. The Flip is having the upwards attachment to the top. It looks very similar, maybe a little bit lower profile on the back. It just kind of cuts off sharply on the back of that camera. Let's check out the bottom really quick. The cabling to run the propellers and the motors is coming out, so you're gonna wanna be careful with that. And then we have just these hinge joints. And remember how these collapse, is just like that. So they're spring loaded. Like I push a little, it goes halfway, and then it springs in, and then it springs out. So they're incorporating like the arms and the propellers all in one big old duct. Ultralight, 249 grams. We have our ground sensors. Little tiny camera right in the middle. That's a tiny little camera just to detect the ground, probably optical flow. And then these two are likely the distance sensors. I know this isn't the flight test video, but I think what I'm gonna do is when the time comes after we update and stuff, I wanna just do a quick little launch and see how loud this thing is in the house. This is one of the major features on this thing is the ducts, right? I've got pretty thick fingers and I cannot really get mine in until I get to the wide portion. And then if I really want to, I could put my finger in there. But that's what this thing is partially all about, is for vloggers, that people that want to just throw something up. It looks like they're just kind of testing different designs to see like what catches on better is kind of like my guess here. This is good to know. So I cannot close the rear with the front closed down. So it is rear first. Boom, boom. And look at how those little things lock in. That's great. And then we're doing the front. Boop, boop. Honestly, I thought it was gonna be pocketable. It's about the same width as the Neo. Down towards the bottom, those ducts there are hanging even lower. I was expecting it to be a little smaller, but at least you can collapse it down to around this size. And it's actually, honestly, even larger than the Mini 4 Pro. Just look at it compared to the Mini 4 Pro. So much of a larger form factor on this angle here. What would be interesting to see is if this one had like a better tracking, like AI technology. And I think that might be part of why you might want this if you're a vlogger and you're just gonna be doing like selfie shots, but you also want maybe a universal drone. This might be better for you because if this is quieter and you can have this up next to you and not having this like mosquito sound all the time with you, I'm really interested to see how this works. I want to put on this little ND filter here. Pull this out and let's see how this goes on. The little holders here, this is super thin, by the way, this ND filter. This feels like as light as like a memory card. So it looks like what you're gonna do is you're just gonna like push it, you're gonna hold the camera and you're just gonna push it in, and there's these little 2 clips on the side that look like they're just gonna snap in. Yeah. See how the actual ND filter flush mounts to the camera? But then you just have these 2 protruding handles here. So if you did want to take it off, Oh, yikes. So be real careful with that because it almost felt like I was going to pinch break it. But anyway, that's how you put off and on the ND filter. If you just pull from one side, it's better instead of pulling both. So pull from one side of it and then pull it out like that. Remember, this is a little extra purchase. It's, as far as I know, it's not coming with the Flameware combo. Okay guys, well, enough talking about it. I think we saw everything we need to see as far as what this thing's all about. Let's now go ahead and put all these things on the multi-charger, and we're gonna see how long this thing charges. Pop a battery back on here, see if we need to do any updates and kind of how it sounds in the house. We'll go over the screen as well on the controller just to see if there's any new functions and features. Okay guys, so while charging these new drones, I always like to see how compatible they are with other fast charging adapters. I have the power adapter from DJI. This thing does like 80 to 100 watts. Take a look at that light so you can see how fast that light is blinking. So I'm gonna unplug the fast charger there, and this is the fast charger from my phone. I think this is 60 to 80 watts. I'm gonna plug in here and see if we get that same speed of charge. Nice, so I'm getting the same speed of charge with my fast charger from my phone. And that's something I haven't had the best of luck with some of the DJI drones and batteries, is they're kind of picky on what kind of fast chargers you use. OnePlus phone charger is gonna do the job. What I wanna do now is I wanna just plug in a standard USB plug straight from the low voltage, low amperage output and see what we get. So you see how much slower that light is blinking now. So that's what we can expect. Try your high-speed phone charger and see if it works. In this case, it is working fine. Not too bad. Took about a half an hour. And when this fully charged, I went ahead and also pulled off the controller. Whoops. Well, I just powered that up. That's interesting. I hadn't pressed any buttons, but that just powered itself on. See, there we have the battery lights on the side fully charged. If you look here, you can kind of see how that front area there, this is more level with the bottom, and then this front actually kicks up a little. Anyway, this is how it looks. That's how that camera is stabilizing, just like all other drones with 3-axis gimbals. Of course, it's gonna have a maximum. You can see that's about the max there. And then forward, back. Pretty amazing, side to side. Readout on the front. Now these are going to be all the different modes. You just have to initially have it set up on your DJI Fly app. But you can launch this from your hand without a phone. You can use just your phone to control it, or you can use a controller like this. This is the one it comes with, of course. I'm hoping that eventually you're going to be able to use that motion controller. Remember the Motion 3 and other controllers and goggles. I have the N3 over there in the background. In other videos, I'm going to attempt to connect all that and fly it in different configurations. So stay tuned and make sure you subscribe for all those other videos that are going to be coming out. I just want to press the mode button. It kind of says in the instructions to hold it like this when you're...
Connect to DJI Fly to activate aircraft.
Okay, so it's got a speaker loud and clear on the front. So it's not going to let me do anything or fly it initially. So I need to connect to DJI Fly initially and get this all set up. So we'll go ahead and power up the controller. Okay guys, so hopefully you can see the screen. We're just going to kind of go through the initial setup, just kind of agree with everything, make sure you select your country, and you're going to want to then connect to your Wi-Fi. So if you don't have Wi-Fi in your house, you can also do this on your phone or whatever with a data connection, but you need to have some kind of initial data connection, okay, to connect it and do the updating and the binding to your account. So you're gonna have to do that. That's kind of mandatory. Go next after you're connected. We want to do our time zone, definitely not in Beijing. It was interesting how you heard that Chinese and English voice on the craft. All right, so next, make sure it's correct. Now, if you guys have done this initial login and stuff and you just want to know about the interface and the craft, you can of course skip through this. And now you have to log into your DJI account. If you don't have one, you have to create one at this point. Again, you can also do this over the phone if you need to. Press OK to activate on your account. Always neat to see an actual guide on how to use these things, so let's check it out. All right, this is basically an Android device, guys, so you go from the edge of the screen swipe to go back, adjust gimbal tilt, record, shutter, return to home. All the basic features of these drones. Tells you what the light on the controller does, all that stuff, how to hold the controller to your aircraft. Let's go to DJI Fly. Initializing source data. Now this is what you guys are all gonna have to go through if you do get this one. And I just kind of like to show you what it's all about. All right, so we get a little intro video as usual. We're gonna skip that. I'm gonna go ahead and authorize all, and that will select them all for me. Product improvement, you don't have to do this if you don't want, but it's just gonna send like anonymous data, I guess. I'm not gonna do that now, but at least you have a choice. Activate DJI device. Okay, here we go. Activation successful. Now this is the DJI Carry Fresh. I believe it's right around $50 to $60, and you get 2 replacements, free 2-way shipping, covers water damage, and it covers flyaway as well. Just keep in mind that you're probably gonna have to prove that happened with a flight log and send them to that. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip that and confirm it. All right, and check it out. This is what I was wondering is we do have, sorry about the glare there, we do have an update available. So let's just go ahead and try to update this thing. This one's probably gonna take a while with all this stuff, but let's just do it. Click an update and let's see actually how fast we can actually go. That's pretty fast, 7.5, I saw, megabytes per second. So in this case, just gonna let this thing relax on the side here. We'll kind of keep it in view and we'll just kind of let this thing do its update. I'm not going to touch anything. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait. And when this is all done or we're getting close to completion, I'm going to show you what it does. It's probably going to reboot a couple times. And this is the reason you want to have this controller and drone fully charged with at least 1 battery. That red light's blinking, all the other lights already went off on the visor. If I swipe down here, kind of like an Android device or a phone, this is basically what it is. It's a phone inside the controller. It looks like I've got 73% here. So I'm gonna say that was about 75% when I first turned this on with that half an hour of charge that the drone battery fully charged. So, okay, I'm actually seeing the light on the flip turning, blinking orange now. All right, infamous. Yep, same sounds, right? Familiar sounds from DJI products on the boot up and that reset. You hear those motors kind of check themselves real quick. And we're still installing at 47%. So we got a little ways to go. Oh, it's rebooting again. One more time. Now we have a little green icon that came up on the screen. It doesn't seem like a huge update. That was only 170 on the flip megabytes. But it looks like it's rebooting a few times. Looks like nothing's happening, but you just need to wait. We still have installing on the screen here. The controller now turned blue, so I believe it's now switched to the controller for installation. The drone actually looks like it turned itself off. So not touching anything, not rushing anything. As that update is rounding out, we're at like 93%. It's only been a couple of minutes. I'm just gonna kind of put these 2 drones on top of each other. The Mini 4 Pro and the new Flip. The motors on the Flip are literally like 1 inch to 2 inches closer in. It's just these duck guards is what makes this whole thing entirely larger. And from the side, it's even shorter this way on the motors and the actual body and smaller than the Mini 4. Maybe you want to compare it to the Hover X drone. Remember this thing? I did a review on this. This thing is another noisy one. So I'm really hoping that this Flip is a lot quieter, but you can see how that size difference, see that foldability. This is another one you can fit right in your pocket. When it folds up, it is indeed smaller than even the Neo, but the Neo will still fit in a baggy pocket. This guy, your pocket would have to be really baggy for that thing to fit in there. Anyway, rounding out this update, looks like the controller is now rebooting. And that literally only took, I don't know, 2 to 3 minutes while I was just talking about other stuff. The drone is definitely off. This rebooted twice and turned off, and then it started updating the other things. So as you can see, controller is updating and it says it takes around 2 minutes. I like to kind of go through this updating stuff mostly in real time, just so you guys know exactly what to expect. It can be a tedious process, and you're really gonna just delay yourself or screw things up if you don't have your batteries and your controller charged, for one. And if you just are starting to get impatient and you don't let these things happen as they need to, and you start turning off and on things or pushing buttons, you are gonna screw the whole process up. So just be patient, it just takes a while. Okay, there we go. Telling us some stuff over on the controller. Connect to aircraft. Okay, yeah. So I am logged in and everything is updated now. As you can see, the aircraft is not on, so I will need to reboot this. So booting up, that was interesting how when I put the battery in the first time, it powered on itself. I don't know why it did that, but I'm just gonna press, then let off, press and hold. And let's get this thing booted up again. Let's see if it auto connects since it was bound to this prior. There we go, auto connecting. Beginner flight tutorial. Okay, so we have flight tutorials you can activate if you want to. My hand, this controller, this is about a foot away. So it looks like you're still gonna need about a foot of focusing depth. Left is our gimbal, which is our camera going up and down on the drone there. Oh, nice. Oh, nice. We have touch focusing. So a feature that the Mini 4 Pro had, the Neo did not have that. What I like to do is even when the craft restarts, oh, there's also an option for larger text. So I'm gonna choose that. I like to have the larger text on the screen so you can really see what's happening. All right, so just a couple of notes on the screen, guys. Forward sensing. When I was reading the specs on this thing, I don't think it has bypass. So no bypass on the flip. It's just gonna stop. That's kind of unfortunate, but at least you have front detection there. So it does have full integrated GPS for location and return to home and all that stuff. Camera function button here. So I'm just gonna tap on it. And we are in photo. We can do kind of all the same things. We got time shot, burst, AEB. And then if we go into this side, we have pano, hyperlapse, quick shots, master shots, video. I'm gonna switch to video real quick by just pressing on it. And we have normal and slow motion. So if we click on slow motion, check out at the bottom here, it's defaulting at 1080p, 100 frames per second. Can I choose anything else? We can go to 4K. So that's probably something I missed on the Air 3S. If you go to slow-mo, you can choose 4K, and this does 100 frames per second in 4K. I didn't even realize that. Nice. Internal storage. Okay, so this is in the drone. I have not put a SD card in there. You can see how it says no card when I click on that. It has 2 gigs of internal storage available. So if you forget to bring your card or you run out of room while it's in the air, you can switch to this. Meters per second or feet per second. Since I'm in the US, I'm gonna change this. I just touched on the options over there. I wanna go to control, I believe. There it is, yeah. So you can do metric, meters, kilometers, or imperial. I'm gonna do imperial. And then here's all the settings in control. You know, you have all the basic settings, gimbal settings, stick mode. You can change your sticks around if you like to control things in different ways, calibrate things. I'm not gonna go too far in here. All you have is brake and off. So there is no bypass, okay? And that's what I was talking about. What bypass does is if you're pushing forward on the controller and you have bypass on with other drones, is it will detect an obstacle, will find a route around it, and while you're still pressing just straight forward. This does not have that as of now. I don't know why they make the auto RTH altitude so high. 328 feet, that is really high. I guess they're just really want to just go past any structures whatsoever, but that's going to go up forever before it comes home. I like to have it right at like 100 feet, so 98 feet would be perfect for that return to home. That's if it loses signal or you press the return to home button, whether the hardware button or the one on the screen, it will go up to that height and make sure it's at that height before it comes home. This one should have obstacle detection as it's coming home as well. Not sure if it's going to avoid and bypass obstacles, but at least it will hopefully stop before it hits something. It may just hover if you're returning home and there's a tree in the way, it may just sit there and hover until it dies, and then you can't do anything or until you get control back. So that could be a good thing. And the bad thing, of course, if it's coming home and you have this off, guys, it'll just hit a tree on its way home. So unless it turns that on by default, but this is just when you're controlling it, you have brake or off on that obstacle detection is what they're calling it, not avoidance, because this apparently does not have obstacle avoidance. Great thing about these drones and this software is you can check the voltage on each battery. You can see how many times it's been cycled. So all these options up here, a lot of you guys are familiar with all this stuff. This is just camera settings. You can go pretty darn in depth in these drones. The great thing about DJI drones is they give you a lot of parameters to change and options. What I like to do, guys, is I like to just one last time, even after everything's updated, is I like to go to check for updates. And that just makes sure I'm on the latest firmware. This is a pre-release, so this might not be the same firmware as you, but that's the process. So if you want to fly this manually as a camera drone, you can, which is great. So this was the main thing you need to do at first, whether it's on your phone or on a controller like this, is get that thing activated. Then you can turn everything off and you can launch it from your hand if you want. All right, let's see if we can lock onto this bad boy. I'm going to try to launch it now in the house. And let's just see, I want to see how it sounds. Now this is just going to be a quick little flight test just to see how it is. We're going to do much more later in the later video, so stay tuned for that. So I'm just going to do a screen launch. Let's see if it can track it. Oh, almost. There it is. All right, so it's definitely more quiet than the Neo. Yes. Yeah. It's literally flying just like any other drone. Pushing forward, and that front sensor is working great. It's just not going to go around me. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, I better be quiet because the little boy is napping. Anyway, that is kind of just a quick little flight. It has a lower pitch than the Neo. The Neo has a crazy high pitch sound. At least it's getting kind of lower tone, lower pitch. It sounds pretty good. Of course, when it's that close, it's gonna be really loud. But so far, so good, guys. That was exciting. Let's kind of go over a couple things. The features I'm gonna be looking for in this thing are how good the camera is. It should have a camera that seems like it's gonna be close to the Mini 4 Pro. Focusability and depth and all that kind of stuff and clarity. So we wanna test this thing to the max. We're gonna test it just flying it as it is, no phone. Remember, you can switch through the functions. Let's try that real quick. I haven't tried that since we got this thing going and updated. So I'm gonna press this side button, remember?
Manual mode.
Okay, it's locking us out of any other mode because we're connected to the controller, right? So what if we turn this controller off? Let's try that. Let's give it a try.
Follow.
There we go. So as soon as it disconnects, you can fly it like this if you want.
Droney. Circle. Rocket. Spotlight. Direction track.
Same functions
Follow.
as the little Neo over here. So all those same functions were accessible by this little button on top of the Neo. I like how they're making these things more versatile. You're gonna have different ways to control them. The way these things work is O4 technology. This is OcuSync 4. This is OcuSync 4. This is OcuSync 4. So all of the same OcuSync, which is their connectivity and video technology, are usually compatible with all of the peripherals. So goggles, the motion controller, and all the controllers that use OcuSync 4. I wouldn't doubt that this is going to be compatible, if not now, with a update very, very soon to use something like the Goggles 3 and the motion controller. And when it is, we're gonna do a full review and flight test on that, kind of like I do with the other drones. I did that with the Neo, and that's just a blast if you want to play around with FPV, with the motion controller or other controllers, or you can use it just as a selfie drone. And that's what I think is so great about what DJI is doing, is they're making their drones super versatile. The real test is going to be the flight test, and that is coming up. I want to test it kind of like I did the Neo, where I just tested it from my hand real quick, saw what it could do without any controller phone, and then get a phone on it and try to control it with a phone, and then start controlling it with the controllers as well. So if you are excited as I am, make sure you subscribe and hang around. And don't forget, guys, one of you will win your own flip right here in the background. This guy right here is going to somebody brand new in the box with the lens filter. International drawing for anybody who wants to enter. Go ahead and check down below. You might have to expand that description under the video and you'll see exactly where to enter on the line. You go to that website, you're gonna see all the other stuff people have won from me, some great prizes, and you'll see all the winners on there. But if you want your chance to win the flip, this is it. Super excited to test this guy out. If you wanna see that as well, stay tuned, and we're gonna test every aspect of this thing, including, remember, the range test. This will be interesting because I know wind is gonna affect this one a little more with all this stuff going on. This is kind of a high profile item here. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. Lots more to come, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.